Hey, my name's Patrick Gilmore. I am the studio head at Amazon Games, Orange County.
Patrick, what are you showing here at Gamescom?
We're showing New World today. It's an open world sandbox MMO.
So we just finished playing the demo. It feels a lot like an evolution of like Rust. Talk a little about the gameplay of this game.
Well, it's funny, we were originally inspired by survival crafting, but really focused on going beyond that to incorporate more traditional MMO elements. We feel like sandbox MMO, kind of compared to a theme park MMO, which is more linear and scripted. We really like the sandbox elements because we feel like that allows players to sort of chart their own course through the world. So it's an evolution from games like Rust in that there's a lot of player progression, a lot of specialization, and a lot of ability for players to sort of chart their own course through the game. Well, Amazon's very ambitious, and we started this game with the idea of kind of building something that could scale beyond what other games are capable today. So we created a technology that allows us to host multiple, a single game simulation across multiple instances in the Amazon cloud. And what that means is that as more players get added, we just add more hubs into the cloud, and we can scale as players come in. So theoretically, it's not limited. It's limited only by the landmass. So our goal is to create a game that hosts a very, very large number of players. We anticipate that when we begin testing this fall, we're going to be in the 500-600 player realm for a single game instance.
Talk a little about the engine you're using, because right now there's like three main engines: Unreal, Unity, and like a little leaping behind is Cry, but you guys have your own engine that Amazon made. Talk a little about Lumberyard.
Yes, this is built on top of Lumberyard, but it's a version of Lumberyard that's very bespoke to this game in order to accommodate the scaling. But you can see just playing the game that the way it renders nature, the way it renders the outdoors, the way it renders really large landscapes, it's sort of one of the specialties of Lumberyard, so we're really excited with how the game looks.
Can you talk about what that system opens up for you as opposed to other game engines out there?
Well, mostly it's about building a gigantic world. Our pipeline allows us to build enormous worlds. So that the worlds that are measured in kilometers, not meters. So it allows us to build a very, very large game space. And then we use a variety of different tools, some of which are procedural and some of which are handcrafted, to create this lush, really dense environment with lots of interaction.
How many players can you support in your game at one time?
Well, so when we start testing this fall, we anticipate being able to support upwards of in the hundreds, 500, 600, 700, but driving to the thousands ultimately, as we're going to add more players in live service as we go.
How will your servers work? Will I select a server from a screen, or will it all be one big instance?
There'll be multiple different servers. But the servers do span multiple instances in the cloud, but we expect that there might be more customers than we have landmass to support, so we will have multiple different server instances.
You talk about the talent trees in your game. I saw blacksmithing and all this other stuff.
Yes, there's a set of attributes, and then there's a set of trade skills. One of the most important aspects of the game is, in a very high population game, we want players to be able to specialize. So there's a large number of different trade skills. You can do blacksmithing, you can do hunting, you can do logging, you can do cooking, and in large companies, we expect players to have lots of specialists in order to help the overall company succeed.
So talk about the combat in your game. It's very like Rust, but it's very Dark Souls-ish as well.
Yes, so the combat is one of the things we're really proud of. It's not tab targeted, it's skill based, and through crafting you can specialize. So you can build siege crafts to tear down enemy structures. You can build kind of a tanky build and get in there on the front lines. You can build ranged combat and high DPS. So players can specialize and adopt any one of a number of different roles. And this emerges in sort of team-based gameplay where different players play different roles. You can be the backline ranged combat or the frontline damage dealer, so lots of different options.
How are you guys handling death in your game?
Well, like any game, death is a big deal, but we try to be a little more forgiving than some games which are really harsh around death. You get to keep all of the items that you have equipped, but whatever you're carrying, you're going to lose. It's going to be lootable. So there is a penalty for death, but then there's different ways to recover quickly.
So when does the game come out, and what platforms are you aiming for?
We're going to start closed testing, invite-only testing this fall. And the way we develop, we release games when they're ready. So we want to hear back from customers first. We want to develop the game with customers, and then ultimately we'll see where that leads us. But